Yeah, I really felt like I was a lucky kid being born and growing up in Little Italy. My name is Ernest Rossi. Everybody calls me Ernie, and I grew up right on Mulberry Street, right in the heart of Little Italy. Everyone knew everyone. I had my grandmother, grandfather lived up the block, aunts and uncles. What I liked the best about growing up here was that we were one big, happy family. This business established in 1910 by my grandfather, Ernesto Rossi. And when he started the business, he sold books and magazines. Then he got involved in publishing music from Naples. There were many songwriters that lived here on Mulberry Street that were from Naples, and it was close to the Depression era. And during the Depression, they were broke. Every day they would write songs, bring it into him. And if he liked them, he used to buy them. And then he would make music sheets out of them. They would make pianola rolls for the player piano. And then they made the mandolin copies and they made piano copies. Then he got the singers to sing songs. In fact, it was a song that was written in New York by a Neapolitan songwriter called Cartolina Nobla, which means a postcard from Naples. And the song was done by a Neapolitan singer called Gilda Mignonette. She sang it here, it became a hit here. He went back to Italy with it, and it became a hit in Naples. And still to this day, it's a popular song. We had our business here. My dad and my other uncles were in the business. Had another uncle had another shop similar to ours up the block. And, when we were happy, we were all happy. When we were sad, we were all sad. If someone passed away, and, we all would go to the funeral. Or somebody got married, we'd go to the wedding. New Year's Eve, we made sure we were home when the bells hit. And right after that, then we would just go around and wish everybody Happy New Year. We went and see so-and-so's uncle, so-and-so's grandparents. I remember my grandfather, if my grandmother passed away, used to wait for me to come up at night to see him. And he would put on a pot of coffee, and I would bring pastry up. He would wait up to even 10, 11 o'clock at night for me to come up and have coffee with him. And then he would go to bed. And I always brought my friends up with me. And we had, yeah. So that's what I miss about it is it was really family oriented. We were very close to each other. Well, I moved away from the neighborhood because I got married. And my wife's from Brooklyn. And she wanted to live in Brooklyn. If it were up to me, I'd still be here. But that's why I moved out of the neighborhood. But right over the bridge, not far. You're in Little Italy, but also Little Italy kisses Chinatown, kisses the Lower East Side, Greenwich Village, Soho. I mean, it's all walking distance. And I think it's hip to say that you live and come from here. I mean, back in the late 50s, early 60s, as Italians started moving out, a lot of artists started to move into the area. And, but at that time, they were able to get an apartment at a bargain. They probably paid more than the old tenant. The landlord was happy enough to get a few bucks more, and they were happy enough to pay a decent rent. But and artists started moving in, but they really blended in well with the neighborhood. They were, if they were artists, they would draw pictures of people or take photographs. But now it's so much more expensive. And I think whoever's moving in now, if it's a couple, both have to work in order to pay the rent. And also, if they're working down in the Wall Street area, they're close by. They're in Manhattan. They don't need to commute. Probably like their mothers and fathers did, maybe, who were born here, moved out to Long Island, and schlepped it back and forth every day into the city. So now they figure, why kill an hour going or 2 hours going and coming? Live in the city, so pay the higher rent, but be here and avoid all that commuting back and forth. And the time they save, they pay it in rent. The cost of living in New York and Manhattan, living in Little Italy, has gone up enormously. I mean, the rents here have gone through the roof. There are a lot of young Italians that their grandparents or great grandparents lived here and want to move back here, but they just can't afford the rents. I guess rents are probably 2 grand and up a month. I'm hearing 2,500, 335. It's mind-boggling. And also, the cost of things have gone up enormously. I mean, as a kid, back in the late 50s, early 60s, I would buy a lemon ice, 5 cents. In fact, on Mott Street, there was a pizzeria. It was a bread store pizzeria. So Sicilian slices, Sicilian pizza, 10 cents a slice. For $1, I would get 5 slices and 2 sodas. I was set. But right now, it's much higher, much, much higher. And also, I mean, the restaurants, they have to charge a lot more because their rents are so high. They need to regain some of that money back in order to pay the rent. So, yeah, it's quite expensive. Yeah. It seems today that everybody is in their own world, right? You know, with their cell phones and computers. But I mean, growing up here as a kid, we actually mingled with each other. We talked to each other. In fact, when we would see each other, we would walk up to each other and hug each other and kiss each other. And how are you? How you feeling? How's your mother, your uncle, your brother, and so on. And we felt for each other. So if someone was hurt, we felt that hurt. And if someone was happy, we were happy for them. And we really communicated with each other. And I think that's something that's missing. And with the computer generation, I don't know. It seems that I hope it doesn't. I hope actual love for each other doesn't fade away. I hope not. Also, what I found that's been changing is that a lot of the older people I used to see, I don't see as many. A lot of them have passed on. I mean, I remember as someone say would get married and moved out of the neighborhood or wherever they would go. When the feast came, they came down. They came down, they saw all their friends, they saw their grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, whatever. But as people are passing on, I see less and less of those same, I call beautiful faces that I'd love seeing growing up as a kid. Yeah. I miss them dearly. If I had to do it all over again, here's where I would want to be born and grow up. I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change anything. I have many fond memories. And I wish I was young again. As kids, we played in the street. The streets belong to us. But now I think be a little difficult playing stickball with someone sitting out in a sidewalk cafe. You know, they may get hit with the ball. But at that time, there was only a few restaurants in Little Italy. And every night we had either a stoop ball game where we get a ball and hit it against the stoop, or a wiffle ball game, or we play touch football where we throw the football and instead of tackling, you just touch somebody and they're out. The stickball games are phenomenal. Oh, they used to play some up on Mulberry Street, up in Mulberry and Prince Street. They used to have some great stickball games. But, you know, I don't think that we could do that now. And like I said, I wish I was young again to do it all over again. Little by little, it's pushing out the small business guy, the small business owner, and it's changing the face of the neighborhood. I mean, I know a lot of Italians that want to come and live here, that are artists, singers, performers, journalists, whatever, but it's too expensive for them to live here. But they would love to come and live down here. But things have gone through the roof. I mean, 25, 30 years ago, you couldn't give the property away. Nobody wanted it because all the apartments in the buildings were rent control. So you couldn't make much on the apartments. And if you had a business, you would say, well, do I operate my business or am I a landlord and take care of the building? So most people just paid their rent, and the rents were very reasonable. And you said, well, I don't need a headache. Let me just pay my rent. But who in their wildest dreams would have thought that this area would have gone through the roof in real estate values. And I think these corporations are just coming in, and as they're buying and buying and buying, they're just making things, they're creating inflation in the area. They're just making things go higher and higher and higher. Will it stop? I don't know. But I wish, someone would think about Little Italy as it was and try to preserve some of it. Otherwise, it's all going to be gone. It'll all be a memory.